Hello everyone, and welcome to part 3 of this Python tutorial series. Today we are going to be learning some critical skills and fundamental ideas regarding coding in general, and putting it into action using Minecraft. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, this time before we begin coding, we first need to discuss a few core ideas. So, let's talk about what Python can do. In native Python, that is, the Python you already downloaded, there is a lot you can do. Specifically, there are many functions you can call, variables you can create, and so much more. For example, you may remember our function print, which lets us display text in the console, or the function input, which lets us type in information to send to the code. There's so many more of these in default Python, such as round, which simply lets us round a number. Give it a try yourself if you'd like to. However, there are certain functions that we cannot do. For example, we cannot use sleep to make a timer, nor can we read a PDF file with our stock basic Python. There is simply no code that allows our script to do that. However, we are about to level up our Python. Let us imagine Python as a vast, open library. We can grab anything we want out of this library using its many books, which contains information on things like if loops, variables, and basic math, to create whatever we imagine. These specific pages are called modules, the books are called packages, and our great big library? Well, that's just called a library. Using all this information, we can create our own pages of information. However, we will inevitably run into areas where we do not know how to design something. Is this a dead end? No, of course not. One of the amazing things about Python is it allows us to grab libraries of code from other people's designs and add them into our own, so we can use them to make whatever we want. Okay, whiteboard lesson done. Let's get to making. Alright, the first thing we need to do to make our Minecraft server checker is to install our server checker library, which is called mcstatus. Now this is one of the areas where installing packages and libraries on Linux is different than installing on Windows, so I will be showing you both ways to do it. First, let's do the Windows version. So the first thing we need to do is to come over to the search bar, and we can search for it. You can also click the Windows button to open this, and now we are going to search for command prompt. And there it is. Now, importantly, it should look like this. If yours is blue, then you have opened up the PowerShell instead. We are not going to be using this yet. First, we are going to update pip. Pip is what we use to install our packages and libraries. This is a bit of a long command, so make sure to type this in correctly. We need to do python.exe-m pip install --upgrade pip. And this will install the newest version of pip. Perfect, so now let's actually install the package. It's actually super easy, barely an inconvenience. All I need to do is type pip install mcstatus. Now make sure to spell this correctly and do not put any spaces or capitals in it. And there we go, look at that, we've installed mcstatus. Now, let's get ready to use it. Okay, time to create a virtual environment on Linux. What we did on Windows was install the library to the entire computer's operating system, so every application can use it. This can certainly cause some issues in the future, but we will tackle those on Windows soon. For Linux, however, we are going to do a more complicated route that will be far better for us in the future. We are going to install mcstatus only in a specific folder, not the entire computer. First, let's create our new folder. If you don't know your basic Linux commands, go watch my video on that first. Now that we have our folder, let's enter it in the command prompt. Now Python actually has a built-in command to make a virtual environment, so let's type in python 3-m venv env. We will know that this worked by checking if the command made a new folder inside of our folder. Now here's the really important bit that you need to remember. Even though we made the virtual environment, we aren't using it yet. To use it, you need to run the command source env/bin/activate. We see now that it says we are using our virtual environment, which now means we can install mcstatus with pip install mcstatus. Perfect. Let's try importing it into a file just to make sure it worked. First, let's create a new file with touch. You can name it whatever you want. Then in our new Python file, let's first import mcstatus, and after that print a message to show that the import did not fail. Now all we need to do is to try to run the file. Ta-da! Now that everything works, let's continue on with the Windows folk. Alright, it is finally time to make our Minecraft server checker. First, let's create our file, just like always. I will create a new Python file, and I will name it server checker 1. Why not? And once we open it up, we will begin coding. Now, we're going to start with Minecraft Bedrock Edition first, since most of you are probably playing that, but we will do both. Now, what's really interesting about mcstatus is if we think of our libraries again, the library for mcstatus checks both versions of Minecraft. But inside of this library, we have two packages. Think of them like books, remember? And one book is to check for Java servers, and one book is to check for Bedrock servers. So what we are going to do is, instead of import mcstatus, we could do this, but we actually don't need the entire library. Instead, we're just going to take one book. So I'm going to say from mcstatus import, and then we'll do Bedrock server. Now, please take note that there is a capital B here and a capital S here. If you misspell this, it will break. Now it's time to start adding some variables. Our first variable is, of course, going to be the server address. So we are going to do server equals bedrock server. See, we are using the new package we imported. This is a specific function within the bedrock server book, the package. Now in here I'm going to type a server address. I'm going to type in the server address for Lifeboat for this tutorial, which is play.lbsg.net, and then we need to add the server port, which is :19132. There we go. Now we have our server address. Okay, next we need to get the status of the server, because we have the server address now, and we know what server we're looking for, but we don't have any of the information about the server. So in order to do that, we're going to type in status equals server, because we are grabbing this address, see that? And we are going to do dot status. So we are getting the status of this Bedrock server. And make sure to put 2 parentheses at the end. This is just to tell the computer that we are indeed using it as a function. Okay, now let's check how many players are online. So I am going to type print, and in print, let's do status. See, so we are grabbing from the status that we just made, and we are going to type dot players dot online. And this should tell us how many players are on the server. So I'm going to hit Control F to save, hit F5 to run, and it tells us there are 4,789 people online right now. That's pretty cool. So we know exactly how many people are online. If this did not work for you, it is probably either because you missed a capital letter, so be sure to check all of the capitalizations, like Bedrock is capital, server is capital, lookup is not capital, or you misspelled your server address, or you're using a server address that does not work. Some servers don't allow you to check for their status, so I'm going to put a list of servers in the description that you can use to check for these. Some of them might not work, but hopefully at least one of them will. Okay, we are printing the number of players online right now, but this is really confusing. It just says a number, so let's fix that. If you remember correctly, we can add multiple strings into our one print message. So I'm going to add players online, and the comma separates these two variables. So if I hit F5 to run it again, it says players online 4,700. Ta-da! now that we're done with the players online, let's just add some other ones because it's super easy. We're going to do print. Let's check how many maximum players there can be. How many players there can be all at once. So, for this one, I will type max players, and then comma, and then status dot players dot max. And let's check this. Ta-da! It tells me that the maximum amount of players that can be on the server at once is 14,705. That's a lot. There are a few more things we can add to get even more information about these servers. So, let's check the latency. This is how much lag you'll have. So I'm going to type latency, and I'll do /lag just to make it obvious. Status dot latency. Now if I hit F5, there we go. It tells us we have 83.9 milliseconds of delay. There we go. It says we have 83.9 milliseconds of delay. That is about 0.08 seconds. This is a very good connection. Just for clarity's sake, let's add the word milliseconds after that. Okay. Now we have 3 pieces of information that we are getting. Let's add one more, which is MOTD, which stands for Message of the Day. And lastly, let's check for the MOTD, which stands for Message of the Day. This is the text that displays underneath the name of the server. So here it says SMP updates, Bed Wars, and it'll keep cycling through a few. But we can grab this as well. So let's type print, and then we'll say MOTD, and let's check for status.motd. Okay, now let's check this. It says the message of the day is largest SMP ever. Wink. And look at that, we've gotten all the information we could possibly want about this Bedrock server just from a simple command. Okay, that was very easy. Let's do Java Edition. It is not much harder. So, of course, the first thing to do is to create a file, and I will name this Java Server Checker. And in this one, we are going to use the input function. So that way we can type in a server to the computer and it will check that one. So, first thing we need to do, of course, is to import our new book, the Java Server book, the package that has all the information about how to find the Java server. And that is from mcstatus import Java server. Make sure to capitalize. Okay, next let's grab the input for the player. So I will do server input equals input. And let's ask what server we need to check. What server do you want to find? And I'll put an extra space there just so it will look nice. And then let's do server equals Java server dot lookup, and let's check for the server that the player has asked for, which is server input. So do you see that we are setting this variable server input to what the player asks for, and then we are finding a server that is named whatever the player typed in. Okay, next, let's get the server status, just like we did with the Bedrock server. Let's type in status equals server dot status. And now finally, let's grab the information we want. So let's print the status dot players dot online, and let's see if this works. Now, here's the tricky bit about the Java servers. Almost every single big Java server disables the lookup ability. So it will deny your ability to check the information about it. So either A, you need your own Minecraft server to check, B, you need to check small servers, or C, you need to do a lot of work and find a server that will work with this code. Now, for me, I have found one, which is called minehut.com. And look at that, it tells me there are 4,000 players online right now, which is perfect. And once again, I will add a server list in the description. Okay, next let's check the max players. So let's do status.players.max. I'm going to run the code. And of course, let's make them more readable for a human. So I will type in current player count. And down here I will type in max player count. And now let's add the server ping. Now the server ping is not actually in the status like we used before with the Bedrock server. Instead, we need to use a different command. So let's set the variable latency to server.ping. This will ping the server and tell us how much lag there is. And then let's print it. So I will say ping, and let's check this out. Okay, let's try play.capecraft.net. And there we go. Look at that. We have current player count of 3, max player count of 75, and the ping is 190 milliseconds. Now, there is more information that we can get from these servers. However, almost every single major server has disabled querying, which is what we use to check for more information. So I can't actually show you how to use that yet. However, when I teach you how to make your own Minecraft server, then we can use that to check it. But I have one more challenge for you, and that is for you, without my help, to check for the server version. Now, I will give you one hint. The string that you need to type in here is status.version.name. Go ahead and see if you can add a new line underneath these two print statements that checks for the server version. Go ahead and pause the video and try it yourself. Alright, done? Let's do it. So, the correct answer is to do print, and then let's just type in a name. I'll say server version, and then we will check status.version.name. There we go. Okay, let's check this out. And here I'm going to check Capecraft again, so let's check that. And look at that. It tells me that the server version is velocity 1.7.2 through 1.21.8. Okay, that is all I have for you today. However, I am going to link an mcstatus documentation page in the description of this video. So if you want to learn more about mcstatus on your own and add more things to your server checker, go ahead and check that out and learn. I will try to answer any questions that you put into the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.